Okay, module 12. Remember in a previous module, we created this room with a floor slab, wall slab, and roof slab, and that was quite simple because the roof and the wall were both flat. Now imagine you wanted to create a thick roof of a more complex shape, like a gable roof as such. Well, this gets a little bit more complicated, so we're just going to go quickly through that in this module. If you have the original flat roof here, then just get rid of that. And the important thing is that we're going to have to change the profile of the wall here. And that's actually going to mean that the top of the wall is going to be angled, not just these sort of profile walls, but also the side walls will have a slight incline to their edge. So let's just look at a couple ways of doing that. Let's say that we want the ridge of the top of this wall to be 5 feet higher than it currently is. And so you can make just the profile for that on the very front edge. Get rid of the guide measurement you made in the center that was 5 feet high. And then we can just push and pull this back. But it's going to be the most effective to stop right at the 1 foot edge, the thickness of the front wall. It's like you've just made a taller front wall, but everything else is still the same. Now you can get rid of this extra unnecessary line in the inside here. And from here, what we can do is create a smaller profile of what will be just the edge of this sidewall. And we can pull just that section over now. And we can go right up to where it will meet the back wall. We can do the same on the other side. Make sure that the line you draw here is exactly upwards, and if it's ever hard to tell exactly where you are, just always feel free to align to the blue axis, and then you can just hover your cursor anywhere on this slanted edge, and it'll know to stop at that point. Okay, so now we have 3 of the walls fixed, and then of course down here you can notice that the push-pull tool sometimes creates extra lines than we really need, and you can always go back and delete those. Here we can just go ahead and make the final wall, and the easiest way is actually just to go ahead and do the same thing you did in the first step, then extrude that back. Notice that in that case it didn't make every single line we need, but we can always just overwrite any bounded edge where you want a surface to regenerate itself. And you can go back now and delete all the lines you don't need. Of course, this is entirely up to you. So now we got our walls to look like exactly what we want them to look like. And now they're going to receive the roof. The roof is going to be a little bit more complicated here. You can see it that it's over, sort of offset from the front face of the wall by a foot on either end. And it looks like it's extending down 1 foot away from the edge here on the bottom part of the roof. And the thickness of the roof is 1 foot, but in its normal direction. I'm going to show 2 ways to think about this roof. One way is to extrude directly outwards. And to illustrate that, just imagine if we were to draw a rectangle, a flat rectangle covering the roof here. Then from here we could easily create the 1 foot thickness. But this is incomplete. First of all, the top here is not slanted as it needs to be. So to fix that, we can just sort of fix it at the location by creating an upwards line here. And to get it to as high as you need it, you're going to lock onto the blue axis, and then you're going to hover your cursor anywhere on this plane so it knows to meet that plane. And then you can come back down to meet it, and then you've created the plane you need to profile to push-pull the rest. And again, delete the lines that you don't need. So that takes care of the top. The bottom is actually easy at this point because all you have to do is pull that directly down 1 foot, and you've got your overhang. And then the overhang for the front and back, you can simply push-pull on those ends. Takes care of 1/2 of the roof. Now, of course, from here you can mirror the other side and just show you what that looks like. You simply have to copy this roof as far as you want to go here. And then you're going to right-click, and you're going to flip along either the red, green, or the blue. And in this case, you're going to want to flip along the red. And I always forget exactly which one to flip on, but of course you can just try over and over again. And then you can just snap it back into place. Now I'm going to actually redo that because I want to illustrate here that actually it's a good idea to make it a component. So if you go back to the roof shape you made and make it a component, and then you do that exact same step we just did, then the beauty of that is that you're going to be able to modify certain aspects of this roof and just do it on one side. So for example, if we wanted to change the overhang, it's going to change it for both sides now. If we wanted to change height of it, we could do that as well, or various aspects of the shape. So the fact that it was mirrored means that it knows roughly that this side is front for both of the shapes, this side is back, and so forth. Last thing I'm going to do is actually, instead of mirroring, I'm going to show just one more way to create the roof piece, and it's by creating just this front profile in its entirety at first, and then extruding that in one sweep. So to do that, it's actually sometimes a little bit complicated. If we were to start from this edge of the wall here, let's say that we didn't have the original wall to guide us, then the first thing you want to do is create just the bottom line of this wall and of this roof, and you know that it's going to be this long plus 1 foot. And notice that as I start to create the second line, it's intuitively showing me a pink parallel line that I can snap onto, and that's going to be really helpful because all you have to do is leave your cursor at a point when it's showing the pink and then type in 1 foot. It's gone out that far. Now it can also give you the perpendicular line, but it's going to not be able to do that out in the middle of nowhere. It's going to want to have your cursor over a coplanar surface. So to get out upwards, it's going to be a little bit hard here, but in this case, we have the wall profile to help us on the downwards direction, so we can just sort of place one there for now, and then the parallel becomes available to us. So from here, we can type in 1 feet. And now we've got that piece. Get rid of that extra guide we made. To create the upper section, again, the parallel is a little bit hard to get to because there's nothing to latch onto. But what you can do is take advantage of the fact that you've already created the bottom edge of the roof, and you can clone that upwards. And cloning is going to be very helpful here because you can just move it up the direction, the distance you need in the perpendicular direction, and then it'll remain parallel. You can do that. And then up here, now you can do the same thing as before to create the top edge. Now you've got the full roof extrusion profile you need. You do the rest in one swoop. Notice that it's creating a couple of extra lines, and that's because the original shape was broken up into some large and small lines in a given line, and when you pull, it's going to create an extra line right where that break was. And you can, of course, go back and fix those later. We got our 1/2 of the roof. And of course, from here, you can make that a component again. You can mirror that piece. We've just used a different way to get to the same roof. And of course, depending on the type of roof, one or either of these could be easier to do.